you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report.
Really? Oh, wait, really? The Jesse Blake Sports Report. That's it?
Don't forget, it's the Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
That's kind of redundant.
Dude, is there a problem?
No, that's fine. I just, I thought maybe you guys would come up with something, good.
Man, just read it.
You know what? Doesn't matter to me. I get paid by the word. Let's do this.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake. Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook.
I had someone who only listens to this podcast ask me, hey, you always talk about this doer thing. How do you spell doer? I was like, DUER.ca. Use code SDPN15. It's all right there to get 15% off. But I'm like, it's in the description. You can just click it. It's in the description there. You go directly to doer.ca and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Also, go to one of their stores because feeling is believing is a little phrase that they have on their site. And it's so true because once you feel the clothes, you'll understand why they call them the world's most comfortable pants. They're so incredibly soft. This t-shirt, I'm wearing this plain white tee if you're watching on video. It's a Doer t-shirt. And the material, it's the greatest material ever. It's so soft. I promise you the no sweat pants are worth it. Go to doer.ca, use the code SDPN15, get 15% off of your purchase today at doer.ca, DUER.ca. Today's podcast, as always, is brought to you by Sports Interaction. Go to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to place all of your bets, and that is 19 plus, Ontario only. And please gamble responsibly if you are going to place your bets on any games. And before we get to our conversation with Sweet Annie OD, who's back on the podcast, who is at the Bills Monday Nighter versus the Tennessee Titans, before we get to that conversation, I need to talk to you a little about the Buffalo Bills, because in that conversation, you'll hear me put my flag down into the ground and declare the Buffalo Bills my team this year. I'm riding them to the Super Bowl. Like, that's who fingers crossed, Bills Mafia. I've joined you. I am on the bandwagon. Josh Allen is our hero. We are going to the Super Bowl. And this weekend on sportsinteraction.com/SDPN, they are -5. They are the favorites versus the Miami Dolphins. It's going to be a tough matchup because the Bills have a ton of defensive players out. I think Gabe Davis might be back in the lineup for them, but it's going to be really tough with, I don't have the list of all the injuries here. Here we go. They're going to be out. They're going to be without Micah Hyde, Dane Jackson. That injury was very scary on Monday. Ed Oliver's out. Jordan Phillips also out. Questionable Gabe Dave, Dawson Knox, Mitch Morse, Jordan Poyer. Those are all questionable. So it's going to be a tough matchup. I'm riding with the Bills. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they can just throw up enough points and the Dolphins will get theirs and we just have a shootout. So the over is looking pretty good right now. It's 53. Ooh, that's a high over. I'm gonna stay away from the total there on that game, but I'm gonna ride with the Bills, as I've been saying. And it made me think about a conversation that's comes up whenever you talk about, hey, I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. One thing that comes up, and the Bills fans, they get lumped in this category too, is the most tortured fan base out of the 4 major sports. And I was looking at some research. I was looking down the list. And the Bills, they've never won a Super Bowl. They've been around since 1960. They have 0 Super Bowls. They have 4 straight Super Bowl appearances in the 90s. Infamous wide right missed kick that happened in between there. 4 straight Super Bowls is improbable, and to lose them all is even more improbable. Like, as a Leafs fan, I don't think we hold the candle to a franchise like the Bills. And I had some up of some of the other franchises who have never won. Like Leafs, we all know 1967. We have 13 championships, I believe, in total. All of them come with 6 teams in the NHL. But when you look at the list, teams like the Sabres and the Canucks, they've never won. They've never won. They've been to the finals. They've never won in their entire franchise's history. At least with the Leafs, we have banners to raise. It happened 3 years before the inception of franchises like the Canucks and the Sabres, who came in at the same year in 1970, but they've never won. I look at the Seattle Mariners in baseball, 1977. 0 championships. The Clippers, 1984. Now we're pushing the timeline a little further down. 0 championships. The Magic, the Orlando Magic, 1989. We're getting even closer. 0 championships. And then we go back to the team like the Arizona Cardinals, who are in this other camp where they've trumped the Leafs in time since their championship, where they haven't won a Super Bowl since 1947. The Cleveland Browns, like, do you count any of their wins because they happened before the Super Bowl era, just like the Arizona Cardinals here? So it makes me feel better as a Leafs fan when I look at teams like the Cleveland Guardians, who were in 1948 when they won their championship. And I remember teams like the Bills exist, who have never won at all. At least the Leafs have banners to raise. I think that's my whole point here. We're not the worst, you know? There are in the 4 major sports franchises, there are other franchises that trump the Leafs in futility. Now, they may not trump us in futility in terms of our lack of playoff success in the last 25 years, in the last 20 years, really, because we did have some playoff success in the 90s and the early 2000s. But since then, since 04, the Leafs have been just awful. They may not trump us in that category, but in championships, and the only thing that matters, riding the Bills this year helps me as a Leafs fan, because I feel like I'm rooting for a franchise that's even more tortured than the Leafs. A franchise that has had less hope than us over the years. A franchise that's never celebrated banners, that doesn't have anything in the rafters. We at least got a couple. They were well before I was born. They were well before there were more than 7 teams in the National Hockey League. But at least there's something. It's something to hold on to. So Bills fans, I'm rooting for you because you don't have anything. So I hope that this year is the year that you get something. You get a banner, you get that Super Bowl. Josh Allen, the savior, leads the Bills to the promised land. All right, let's get to our conversation with sweet Annie OD, Annie O'Donnell, talking a little Bills, Dolphins, and this past Monday night. Annie O'Donnell, sweet Annie OD, is back on the Jesse Blake Sports Report for the 2nd week in a row. And you were at Orchard Park in Buffalo on Monday to witness the Buffalo Bills beat down the Tennessee Titans 41-7. I promised we'd have you back on to find out how it was. And it seems like it went better than we could have ever anticipated. How was it? What was it like being there?
It was, Jesse, an experience unlike anything I could even imagine for a sports game. And I thought I have seen some pretty intense playoff crowds. I thought I've seen passionate fan bases. There's nothing like Bills Mafia. And when they say that, they actually mean it. I mean, getting to the stadium, we got there pretty early. Everything kind of gets started right away. People pull in and tailgate all day long, but you're there. And I mean, everyone's from all over. Tailgating games are set up. It's an all-day affair. People are renting out special buses to come and tailgate, RVs, you name it. They do it. And if it speaks to anything, they have 2 very nice bars kind of right near the stadium. We went into one of them maybe 3 hours before kickoff. It was pretty much empty. Just speaks to how much tailgating is a part of that culture. But, right. Oh my God, food stands set up, people coming in selling merch and everything. It was just, I couldn't believe it. I thought I'd seen, I've been to NCAA college football games. I went Notre Dame. I've been to a Notre Dame game day in South Bend, and you think that's, pretty pinnacle. No, doesn't even shine a light to it. And just going into the arena, into the stadium too, it was, obviously not an empty seat in the house. I maybe saw, there were a handful of Tennessee fans that made the trip. God bless them. This is a fan base where they would be very nice to you. It's not like going into Philadelphia where, you feel like you're going to be they're going to be hostile to you. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like friendly chirping here and there, but you're going to get some reaction. I was hoping, honestly, one of my favorite football players to watch that's not on my team, I don't know if we discussed this last episode, I can't remember, is Derrick Henry. I love watching him play football. I think it's like poetry in motion, just how effortless he makes it look. And that was the biggest disappointment for me. I was hope for one, I have him on one of my fantasy teams, but I wanted to see King Henry just take down that Bills defense like once or twice. I was rooting for the Bills to win, obviously, because I was there, but I wanted to see a little bit more from Tennessee, and I was disappointed that they didn't score anything outside of that fourth quarter. But I think it also speaks to just how stacked and how good this Bills team is. And you just feel the energy in there. It is Super Bowl or bust. That's how they are going into this season. And how exciting is that? How exciting is it to be a part of that fan base where it's like, hey, we're going for it. We're going to the Super Bowl. Like that's the expectation this season. To have that as a fan, I think is so exciting. It obviously sets you up for a good chance of disappointment if that doesn't happen, but might as well get your hopes up for something. I think that's one of the coolest things.
Yeah,
but,
and you mentioned like them holding Derrick Henry to, I have it here, 25 yards on 13 carries. And the offense is getting all of this hype. Like we know Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they're incredible. But the defense is really what's been shining these first 2 weeks of the season. It was crazy to see them just completely shut down the Titans defensively.
Oh, big time. I mean, you got Jordan Poyer, probably one of the best safeties still in the NFL, headlining there. But it was just, I mean, not even, I know I gave Ryan Tannehill some praise last time I was on, but God, they had no answers for that Bills defense. And, the game really only lasted 3 quarters because after then, they put Malik Willis in for Ryan Tannehill. And everybody, it was basically all the practice squad guys coming in from the late third quarter through the fourth. Like nobody scored the entire fourth quarter. So even a lot of people left the game already. We stayed to the end, because I was like, when's the next time I'm going to be in Buffalo? Who knows? But it was, it was an exciting 3 quarters of football, though, nonetheless. I mean, Josh Allen is that guy. He deserves all the praise that he is getting this season. And just watching that team play in person. I mean, football is a sport I think is very easy, is very friendly to watch on TV. But just seeing it in person, there's something different about, going to a game and watching these athletes perform like with your own eyes. And you say, wow, that's incredible. And Josh Allen deserves the hype. Absolutely. I know I was asking people to rank a few. I was talking to some fans. I said, okay, where do you rank Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert? And it was no brainer. A few said Josh Allen.
Right. Well, you're asking Bills fans, to be fair. It's not really an unbiased survey.
No, I was aware of that, but it was more wondering where they put Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes. And it was pretty varied, but for the most part, they put Patrick Mahomes at 3, and you can probably guess why. Wow. So
yeah. Like Josh Allen, he put his stamp on the league during that AFC divisional round game versus the Chiefs, where that 13 seconds just broke every Bills fan's heart. But like during that game, we should have all just confirmed like Josh Allen's here. He's here to stay. He's the top 1 or top 2 quarterback in the league. And like this season is just the stamp on that point through this first 2 weeks where he's just dominated.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think back to that game and just the offensive battle that was, I mean, you knew whoever won that coin toss was going to win the game. Like there was just no way. Like those defenses were just so worn down. I'm glad that the overtime rule has changed for the playoffs. I know it's still in play for the regular season, but I mean, even during Aaron Rodgers 2020, I think it was 2020. No, wait. Yeah,
he won the MVP last season. Yeah,
last season, and then the year before as well. The first season he won MVP. Josh Allen got 4 votes. It wasn't a unanimous decision. Josh Allen was able to sneak away with 4 of those votes, and he's a clear MVP favorite because there's no way that the Bills would be. I mean, the Bills are an overall just boom, boom, boom stacked team, but they would not be 2-0 and going in against the Miami Dolphins this week 2-0 without Josh Allen.
Yeah, and how do you think they're going to fare versus the Dolphins? Because the Dolphins are coming off a historic comeback versus the Baltimore Ravens. Like in their own right, the Dolphins have had a crazy start to the season. And Tua, last game, 469 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle has looked incredible. Tyreek Hill has looked incredible. What do you think the Dolphins are going to give the Bills on Sunday?
I'm a Ravens fan, so hearing you said, I'm like, yeah, Jesse. Okay, I get it.
Are you a Ravens fan? I didn't know that.
I get it, Jesse. Come on. But no, in all seriousness, I am a Tua believer, actually, and I am one of the many unlucky people that had Tua on my bench last week.
Oh, no.
nice little stab in the heart there.
45 fantasy points or something stupid.
I know. I lost that. I lost that matchup by 2 points. So let's not go there. Let's not talk about that. Honestly, though, in all seriousness, I am a big Tua believer, and I think of people already writing him off, saying this is last year as a starter. He shut those people up last week. I mean, just an absolutely outstanding offensive performance. I mean, hey, Tyreek Hill, there was a lot of discussion going into this season saying, how are Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill going to do without each other? And respectfully, I think they're both fine without each other. They've both won the breakup. They're both doing great and fine where they are. I do think that Bills defense is going to be a challenge for Tua and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I think maybe a couple long passes to Tyreek and they're going to be good and they'll get on the board. But I have the Bills taking week 3 for sure. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, Sports Interaction right now, sportsinteraction.com/SDPN if you want to make any bets. They have the Bills at -6.5. And I think as well that they're going to cover that. I think this podcast over the first 2 weeks has become the Bills Super Bowl podcast. Like, I'm a believer in the Bills Mafia and that they're going to take this home this year. They look to me just so far and away the best team in National Football League. I think you're trying to lose money if you're betting against them any week of the season.
Honestly, I mean, it all comes down at this point. It's theirs to lose. Like, you just hope everybody on that team stays healthy. Obviously, a couple injuries on that field, a couple scary injuries as well during that Monday Night Football game.
Yeah.
But you got to think about the NFC. Who in the NFC could possibly compete with them in a Super Bowl? And listen, sports, anything can happen. We've seen, upsets, mismatches in the playoffs all the time, but everyone's the Philadelphia Eagles are rising as a big favorite. And I saw a tweet today where it said, I don't think we have the infrastructure to handle an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl. And it's so true. It is so true. We're talking about two of the most passionate fan bases in football and sports nonetheless. So I keep thinking, what would be an ideal Super Bowl matchup? And it's just, football is one of those really unpredictable sports where, season-ending injuries can totally derail a Super Bowl contending team. So I know we're only in week 3, but it's hard to see anything stopping the Buffalo Bills from their ultimate destiny and what so many of these Bills fans would give up anything to just witness a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. And for me, that dream matchup, and I guess for Bills fans, if they end up winning the Super Bowl, wouldn't it be perfect if it was against Tom Brady? Like, the guy who terrorized this franchise for the last 20 years, they face him in the Super Bowl and they defeat him. I think that would be a crazy ending.
So I wanted that to happen in 2020 when the Chiefs beat them in that AFC Championship game. I said it would be poetic to have the Bills have to go through Tom Brady one more time after he has left the AFC East. So even though a rough start to season, Tom Brady is again, what is his record against the Saints now? What is the record? Not including playoff games.
They won last. He was on a 4-game losing streak against the Saints, and he finally picked up that W last week. So he's kind of exercised that demons against New Orleans, if you look at it that way.
Kind of.
Yeah, but he owned them in the playoffs, so I guess it wasn't ever really demons, Well,
I mean, we talked about it last week, where it would be Tom Brady having that chip on his shoulder, that nagging voice in his head. 0-4 the regular season against the Saints. You can't beat the New Orleans Saints. Amidst all the other drama that's going on in his life.
Yeah, and he took care of business.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I can't wait to have you on for a third time. And maybe, I don't know, next time you'll be at a Chargers game or a Ravens game, wherever you're going to be. We'll check in with you throughout this regular season. Thank you so much. That's Annie O'Donnell, Sweet Annie OD. Follow her on all of your social media. Thank you again for joining us, Annie.
Thanks for having me, Jesse. Anytime.
That is it for me today. I hope you enjoy all of the NFL action this weekend. It looks like it's going to be a great week 3. I'm really excited for the future of this podcast. I have a lot of fun stuff coming up, and the podcast is going to change in terms of its layout and its kind of format. And I can't talk about any of it right now because it hasn't really happened, but you'll hear it. You'll hear it in the coming episodes and weeks and months in the episodes coming up on this podcast. And I'm very excited for the late fall, early winter version of this show. That's all I can say for now. Plus, I can't wait for the return of my streams on Twitch, which are coming up with the release of NHL 23. I'm going to be streaming the Arizona Coyotes on Twitch weekly. So that'll be so much fun. That's one of the funnest things I did last season. And I can't wait to get back at it in the next couple of weeks, next month, actually. So look out for that as well. We got to pick a day of the week to get that done. But yeah, that's it for me today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be listening or watching this right now. And I appreciate you for that. Take care. I'll see you next time.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake. Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's Sportsbook.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.